Good morning. My name is Mary Jean. I'm a member of this congregation, and I want to welcome you to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. We're so happy that you've chosen this YouTube channel, this Sabbath, this sanctuary and time. We know that you have so many options on Sunday morning, so the fact that you chose here to be with us is something we celebrate. We extend an especially warm welcome to our visitors and to anyone who may be watching us online for the first time. If you'd like to follow along with our hymns and forgot a hymnal, they are at the corners of the room, and when we get up to greet each other, you'll have a chance to grab it then. We now invite everyone to greet each other in any way you feel comfortable. If you're online in the chat, say hi, and if you're here, elbows or hugs, whatever you feel comfortable with. Thank you. It's so good to be together. Thank you, everyone. We now have just a few announcements.
Good morning. We have just a few announcements today. First of all, there have been some changes to my plan for sabbatical. I sent an email about this earlier this week, but I just wanted to tell you all as well. I'm overdue for a sabbatical. They accrue 1 month a year. Every year I accrue 1 month. We had thought that I would take that time all at once this winter. However, when I returned from maternity leave in July, it was clear to me that 6 months away is too long, and 9 months out of 1 year is far too long. Therefore, the board and I met, the Committee on Ministry and I met, and we've all collectively decided that I will split the sabbatical into 2 smaller chunks over 2 years. Yeah, so we're all happy with that, so yay. And I will tell you what I study and all of my plans. Also, if you are interested in the Paving the Way Capital campaign, Phil and Adam, our president and past president, will have a table in the sanctuary to answer your questions today. And now, an announcement from our new music director.
The anticipation is brewing. The time is almost here. The suspense is electric in the air around the multi-purpose room just down that very hallway. I'm very pleased to announce that immediately following our service today, we have a special choir meet and greet event scheduled. I'm inviting you, yes, you, to attend our very special choir meet and greet event, whether you're a longtime veteran of the choir or you're interested in singing with us for the very first time. You are welcome and you are invited as we celebrate the beginning of a new season of music directly following the service. Come by and say hello.
And lastly, I want to introduce our guest speaker today. His name is Joseph Mohr. He is first and foremost a dad and a husband, but he is also a working chaplain at the Wesley Medical Center in Wichita. His work has led him to the ICU, neuro, cardio, medical, and the children's ICU. Whenever he's not working or spending time with his family, the 2 most important things to him are gardening and working on old cars. He is here today because he's currently in the process of being endorsed by the UU Society of Community Ministers. Yeah, there you go. He is being endorsed as a lay minister in professional chaplaincy. If you have questions about that complicated title, you can ask me. But we are his sponsoring congregation, and part of our agreement is that he will come and preach for us once a year as long as our relationship continues in that sponsorship. We've lost our ringing bowl wand, but that's okay. Let's just take a deep breath together. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good earth, its creed, all truth, its ritual, works of love, and its profession of faith, our living. Come, let us worship. Please rise as you are willing and able for hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Song with me that I might know.
snows in the winter's time.
As Ethan Harper comes forward to light our chalice, we invite you to join us as we recite our covenant. Let us affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
Could I please have all the children come forward? Hi, everybody. All right, I see some new faces. So who here knows my name? What's my name? Reverend Rose. Okay, I want to hear all your names. What's your name? Hi, Arjun. Lolly. Quinn. What's your name? Hi, Leah. What's your name? Max. Henry. Amelia. Lauren. Ethan. Eliza. Amelia number 2. What's your name? Liam. Hi, Lottie. What's your name? Amelia. Well, we have 3 beautiful people named Amelia. You know, my mom's name is, her last name is Rose, and so people always are confused. So many Roses in my family. Well, today, I have a question for you all. Who here knows what it feels like to be peaceful? Does anybody here know what it feels like to be peaceful? No? A lot of these grown-ups are raising their hands that they have felt peaceful feelings. What about if you were like in a hammock and you were falling asleep? Would that be a peaceful feeling? Some say yes, some say no. It depends on the person, right? What if you were in school and your teacher was really happy and you just got a really good grade on a test and you were going to have a pizza party later? Would that feel peaceful? Yeah. Yeah, maybe during the pizza party you feel a sense of peace because it's happening. Well, today I want it, excited, but it could be an excited feeling. It could be a peaceful feeling. Maybe there's a peaceful feeling if you saw an old friend. Can anyone else think of something that might make you feel peaceful? Let me ask you a different question. Is there anything in this room that when you look at it with your eyes, it makes you feel peaceful? Yeah? The ringing bowl, yeah. It makes you remember the feeling of the ringing bowl, right? Too bad we didn't do it today. What about you?
For some reason, that glass of water.
That glass of water? Yeah, that makes me feel peaceful too. What about you? The floor makes you feel peaceful? Yeah, it's very grounding. Yes. What about you? Sitting with your grandma makes you feel peaceful? Mm-hmm. I feel peaceful when I see you sitting with your grandma, actually. What else? Anything else make people feel peaceful? Okay, well, I'm going to show you the 4 things in this room that make me feel peaceful, that we as a congregation have put in this room specifically to make you all feel peaceful. Do you guys want to go on a tour with me? Okay, come on. Everybody up. All right. Here we are. Number 1. Can you guess what it is? The piano. Okay, go ahead, Ben. Yep. Okay, one more time. Yeah, we'll have another piano. We'll talk about the piano afterwards. So the first thing is the piano. All right, I'm going to scoot past. All right, and now everyone follow me. Guess where we're going? Up onto the chancel. Okay, come on. This is the second thing that makes me feel peaceful. Does anyone know what it's called? It's called the chalice, kids. Okay, everybody scoot on over. This is the third thing that makes me feel peaceful. This is called the pulpit, and this is where you stand when you are addressing the congregation. And then the last thing that makes me feel peaceful is the joys and sorrows table. Because you didn't notice it, but this is where the congregation shares the things that make them joyful and sorrowful. Does anybody have anything they want to share, a joy or a sorrow in your lives? Well, does anybody want to show what we do with it? Yeah? Do you want to tell me your joy or sorrow? You can tell me and I'll tell them. No, I'm going to light it. What? Does anybody have a joy or sorrow they'd like to share? Yes.
My sorrow is that I can't get a pet rat.
Can't get a pet rat. Very sorrowful. The day will come when you can get a lot of pet rats. Yeah?
That I'm allergic to all pets.
Allergic to all pets with fur. Yeah, the day won't come for you where you can get a lot of pet rats. Yeah? Can't get a pet snake. You guys are really... Dad's allergic to dogs. Okay, let's light a candle. Okay. We're going to light one candle for all of the ways that we cannot have the pets that we wish we could. Yep. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's go back over to the Time for All Ages space. Oh, just right over here. Okay, so I showed you these because I want you to remember that in any space there are things that could make you feel peaceful or make you feel connected to other people. So like, for example, in your classroom, at school, in your bedroom, there might be places where you could find peace or feel peaceful that you haven't thought of. Can I get one example of a place in your home? Yes.
My bed.
Your bed. Yep. Great. Yeah? Downstairs, yep. So I want you this week, yeah? The couch, yeah? Watching TV, yeah, those are all really peaceful spaces. So this week I want you to keep your eye open for places that could be peaceful, either in your classroom at school or at your home, okay? All right, let's have you go with Miss Micah and Jen and go to your classrooms. We come to this place to see and be seen, to teach and be taught, to hear and be heard. I invite you to reach over and nudge the person next to you, reminding them and yourself that we are gathered here together in peace and in authenticity and in intention. We also come to this place to share our joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share, I invite you now to come forward and briefly share in 2 to 3 sentences a rare joy or a profound sorrow and light a candle.
I'm Jennifer Holt, and this is a candle of appreciation and joy. Last week, a bunch of us got together in the youth group room and had a great discussion about religious pluralism and all the churches and religions we're going to study or they're going to study. And I'm just really grateful that my kiddo gets to be a part of it.
My name's Dale Trott, and I'm lighting a candle of sorrow, I guess, concern for my brother Dave, who's 2 years younger than me, lives in St. Louis, and he is having heart issues, and I'm going to go visit with him this week, hang out with him. He wore a heart monitor for a month, went to the doctor on Wednesday, and the doctor said, "You're not leaving here without going to the hospital directly." And so he has ventricular tachycardia, and so they got to get that under control, and so it's kind of scary. They said he had 2 incidences during the month. He was wearing the monitor where he could have died, and he didn't even realize it. So, scary stuff.
My name is Kira, and I'm lighting one candle for 2 things. The first one is that my dad is doing fine. He'll be home from the hospital today. It was just in case type of thing. The second is that my husband is having surgery tomorrow to clean out his arteries. He had a stroke in May. It's been quite a summer. He's a little nervous, a little depressed, and so we're just hoping for a positive outcome on the whole thing.
I'm Kay, and this candle is both a joy and a concern. I was able to meet old friends in Minneapolis over the week, to be with a friend who's in the middle of the throes of Alzheimer's, and it was not as pretty a picture as we had hoped.
My name is Chris Ediger. This is sorrow for my dad, who unexpectedly passed away this week on Wednesday.
I have 2 candles. One is for my friend Eric Ferris, who died a year ago today. He would have been 39 today. And the second is a candle of joy. Yesterday, I had a lot of friends come over to help me paint my house, and it was just very nice to feel loved by so many people. I'm going to do this one.
So the candle that I have is going to be for my dad. He passed away a few months ago, and we are currently in the middle of trying to sell his house, which is definitely hard to let go of because I grew up there my whole life. And a joy because I'm going to the luncheon for young adults today, and I'm also going to be foraging for the first time after church.
I am Jennifer Sagan, and I'm lighting this candle for my sister-in-law who just went into hospice this week, and for my brother and the rest of his family as they navigate through
that. My name is Danny Hewitt. There's no more candles left to light, but there is. A miracle. And I can't light it. There we go. Yesterday, I celebrated my 75th birthday, and my twin brother, we celebrated our 60th birthday last time we got together, and we thought that we better start celebrating birthdays more closely, like 5 years or something, because we may be running out of time. Anyway, my brother's been He drove down from Wichita, and my daughters were there together, all my grandchildren, all my wife's son and daughter-in-law and grandchild were all there. So it's what I wanted for my 75th birthday, to have all our children in one place and one time. So it was great. My brother's been at Wesley Hospital in the lab for almost 40 years, and he said that he may get his own parking place as a gift for being there so long. So I'm celebrating my 75th birthday. It was a great experience, and my wife planned it all, so wives are great.
Please join me in speaking the words of affirmation together. We hear your words. We witness your life in all its heaviness and brilliance, and we carry your joys and sorrows in a shared heart.
All right. Hello, everybody. As y'all have heard my name a few times this morning, my name is Joe Mohr. I work as a chaplain at Wesley Medical Center. This morning for meditation, I'm going to engage in a practice that we do in chaplaincy about accessing compassion, accessing grief, and accessing gratitude. At our hospital, we are an education center for chaplains in training in clinical pastoral education. And so we invite students on a journey of companioning those in grief. And so the practice that we're going to do this morning is an abbreviated version of that. At this time, I invite you to center yourselves in the most comfortable way that you can. I want you to still your hearts in anticipation. This is a grief practice, and so there are very strong feelings associated with that. And if this is a meditation that is too painful for you at this time and place, I just invite you to reflect on things that you are grateful for that you do have. So join me now. I invite you to pick four things that are most treasured, four things that mean the most to you, four things that if they were absent, you would feel it. You go to the doctor. It is a routine yearly check-in, and the doctor notices on a scan that there are some abnormalities. These abnormalities take time, they take money to test. Because of the cost and the time of going to appointments, pick one thing of your four and remove it. Some time goes by, you get your test results back. It turns out that you have a new diagnosis, a serious condition that will require more treatment. Doctors are uncertain of the prognosis. Due to the routine tests, due to the anxiety, the uncertainty, the preoccupation of your mind, take one of your things and remove it. Treatment has taken its toll on you. You feel tired. You feel weak. Previous tasks that you enjoyed doing are now labor. They are burdens. You find that your time and your energy continues to be limited. Take one of those things that you hold dear and remove it. What do you have left? Why is it left? As I invite you to come back from your contemplative space, in a deep practice of grief, I want to remind you that you still have those four things right now as we talk. They are not gone. You still have opportunity to engage. You still have opportunity to be. Embrace those things with gratitude, with purpose, and with intentionality. Feel the pain of loss, but with loss also comes gratitude. Be well.
Our first reading today comes from David Foster Wallace. It is an adapted excerpt from his commencement address at Kenyon College entitled, "This is Water." Because here's something else that's weird but true. In the day-to-day trenches of adult life, there is no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships. The only choice we get is what to worship. And the compelling reason for maybe choosing some sort of spiritual type thing to worship, be it JC or Allah, be it Yahweh or the Wiccan Mother Goddess, or the Four Noble Truths, or some inviolable set of ethical principles, is that pretty much anything you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, if they are where you tap real meaning in life, then you will never have enough, never feel you have enough. It's the truth. Worship your body and beauty and sexual allure, and you will always feel ugly. And when time and age start showing, you will die a million deaths before they finally grieve you. Worship power, and you will end up feeling weak and afraid. And you will need ever more power over those to numb your own fear. Worship your intellect. Being seen as smart, you will end up feeling stupid, a fraud, always on the verge of being found out. But the insidious thing about these forms of worship is not that they're evil or sinful. It's that they're unconscious. They are default settings.
Our second reading is from the book, The Good Enough Job by Simone Stoltzoff. From the moment we ask our children what they want to be when they grow up, we exalt the dream job as if it were life's ultimate objective. Many entangle their identities with their jobs, with predictable damage to happiness, well-being, and even professional success. In The Good Enough Job, journalist Simone Stoltzoff traces how work has come to dominate Americans' lives and why we find it so difficult to let go. Based on groundbreaking reporting and interviews with Michelin star chefs, Wall Street bankers, overwhelmed teachers, and other workers across the American economy, Stoltzoff exposes that what we lose when we expect work to be more than a job, rather than treat work as a calling or a dream. He asks what it would take to reframe work as a part of life rather than the entirety of our lives. What does it mean for a job to be good enough? Through provocative critique and deep reporting, Stoltzoff punctures the myths that keep us chained to our jobs by exposing the lies we and our employers tell about the value of our labor. The Good Enough Job makes the urgent case for reclaiming our lives in a world centered around work.
Hello, everybody. I'm super excited and glad to be here. Prior to this arrangement, Shawnee mission was not even on my periphery or even radar, right? I was born and raised in western Oklahoma. Kansas is still very foreign to me. I've only been living in Wichita for about 6 7 years, and I'm still trying to figure out all the small towns between here and Wichita. There is. Every day I discover new ones. I need a map on my wall at home. But I want to be sure to clearly state my world is made bigger today by knowing you all. I see faces that I would have never seen, just knowing that there's a community up here, that my world is a bit deeper and more enriched for being here. So I work as a hospital chaplain, right? It's not a job that many people think of as well. It's sort of on the periphery of things. It was something that I never really considered on the grand list of things. If you had asked me if I'd be a chaplain as a kid, I would have said no. It wasn't even on my list of options till I was actually 28 years old. As a kindergartner, instead, whenever I walked across that stage, very proud, and asked in a very, very indirect way what I want to be whenever I grow up, and I provided the most off-the-wall, most strangely detailed answer that I could think of in my little kid brain. And I said, I wanted to be a scientist that did experiments on bugs in outer space to see the effects that zero gravity had on them. A little bit out there. By kindergarten standards, though, it was pretty appropriate, right? I wonder if my past self is disappointed. There's a certain aspect of, of course we want to cheer on children, encourage ambition, and just be weird, right? But when we think about it, the capacity for self, to know what we want to be. Has anybody yet figured out what you want to be when you grow up? No. It's daunting, and a public declaration of it is almost overwhelming. I had built this expectation within my adolescent mind that was not entirely realistic. Whenever I first heard David Wallace's remarks about pursuing being smart, I felt a painful sting within myself. The need to be the smartest in the room, the one that wants to do experiments on bugs in outer space. I curated a persona around being a nerd, right? It wasn't until I was later an adult that I realized I'm not that smart. That's not that I'm not smart, but whenever you meet really, really talented and gifted people, which, education provided that opportunity, and I saw, wow, that's a smart person. And then I realized I've been pretending. Most kids aspire to positions of authority whenever you ask them that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? They'll say, well, I want to be a police officer. I want to be a president, right? That's because power is so alluring, and it makes sense whenever you're a little kid and you're just bossed around by adults all the time, right? My 3.5-year-old, if you ask her, she wants to be an adult tomorrow. It's probably because adults also make all the rules, right? Other kids say that they want to be doctors or lawyers or things like that, and they've caught on to this little bit of a money thing where they realize, yeah, I want to do that. Or, scarily enough, many of them want to be social media influencers, right? Who can put a price on attention, being noticed, being the center of all these things? And our society, we teach this to them. Our society places things like money, power, authority, and fame as this big overarching goal of what it means to be alive and what it means to be successful. In David Foster Wallace's commencement address on This Is Water that you heard read earlier, you hear Wallace warning these liberal arts students about the allure of chasing material things. You're about to start this big career, this big journey in life. Don't get lost in it. don't end in it. This liberal arts degree that you are getting today is meant to augment you to be a better person, not to stop being a person. It's enrichment in life. And what's interesting enough is as Wallace shares this plea that he makes to these students, he uses the imagery of worship to do so. Worship is the thing we set before ourselves to express reverence to, that we orient ourselves to. And many times it's a communal thing. We classically think of church on Sundays as that primary thing. You know, many people, they'll set a cross in front of themselves, and a group of people will orient themselves to that cross, or whatever iconography, or if we talk about Allah, and not even iconography, but a name that we orient ourselves to. But groups get together and we do that. Now, one of the cool things about UUism, and one of the reasons why I'm always enamored and drawn to this community, right? So we have these principles that we align ourselves with. But what we set on that dais in front of us to worship, the individual pursuit of truth and of expression of self, is this personal endeavor that we get to do in journeying alongside one another. In a universal sense, how we spend our life is the very practice of worship. What we choose to spend our time doing and what we choose to orient ourselves to is setting in front of us that ultimate idol or that totem or deity. David Wallace knew that time was precious, being someone who had a painful limitation of time in his life. As a person who struggled with mental health and even 3 years later after this address succumbed to his mental illness, knew that time was precious. And he pleaded and begged. If you listen to the recording of This Is Water, you can almost hear this pleading edge in his voice and his tone of begging these students not to lose themselves. Because he knew all too well how precious time was. Stories like David's and my work as a chaplain caused me to pause and think about how I spend my own life, how I spend my own time. For me personally, family is so precious. Being a father and being a spouse. And it's changed, right? It's never a truly fixed thing. You would have asked me, 4 years ago, would have been a lot different. But fatherhood has added this added layer of clarity to my purpose in being in life and what I do. That I do everything for my family. I work for the purpose of providing for my family. I am here today in front of you to get endorsed for certification as a chaplain so I can keep my job, so I can take care of my family. All these things point back to that. But then I sit down and I focus and I think in this twisted way. At what cost? I spend 9 hours a day roughly at work. My work reaps the benefits of the earliest, freshest mind that I have in the morning, well caffeinated. Energy reserves are good. My attitude is ripe and ready to face the new day that's in front of me, to engage what new adventures or discoveries are there, and I pour myself out into this experience of being with one another. And then by the end of those 9 hours, what's left? I go home. I'm not the same energetic person that I left for my job with, right? I left a little bit of that back there. I don't have the same engaging attitude. I've been listening to people's stories, and the last thing I want to hear at home sometimes is stories. And so then I ask myself, what's the point? If I'm doing this for my family and it keeps me from being with my family, then what's the point? If in the course of pursuing the thing I love most, it takes me away from it, then what's the point? As a chaplain, I spend much time in life review spaces listening to people talk about their loved ones or people just sharing about their lives and listening to many beautiful stories of how they spent it, what did they do with it, what colored their experience of life. And it always gets me. I'll occasionally hear this story. They were strong. They were good. They provided. They sacrificed their body, providing and taking care of us. But it's at this time, the one thing I wish I did have was more time with them. In his book, The Good Enough Job, Simone Stolzoff reflects on how work has taken on a religious overtone in American culture. Work, and by using this word called workism, so turning work into an ism of sorts. Stolzoff, a self-labeled recovering workist, explains how people have begun to see greater meaning in their work. Work is no longer a means to an end. Instead, it has become the primary means of expression of self. That we find purpose, identity, self-worth, our value as a person in society, and our legacy is wrapped up in work. The dream job invoked by kindergartners quickly becomes a deity in workist culture of what we pursue, of what we doggedly chase down. While having a job you love is excellent, it's dangerous to couple your entire identity to it. Much like Wallace warns us, jobs and the capacity to engage in our work change over time. If my identity is wrapped up in being a chaplain, and chaplain begins to take too much of a toll on my family, then I'm left with a choice. If my identity is in that, choosing my identity of self or my family. Jobs also aren't guaranteed. Layoffs do happen. In our economy, the individual often finds themselves sort of trampled over. And what is that? The pain of feeling called to do something that you don't have a place to do it? Or even the notion or aspect of, we can't do this work forever. Retirement. No longer doing the job that you have trained and honed yourself as skilled for many, many years. The day that we begin thinking of ourselves in the past tense, well, I used to, or I did, sort of like what David Wallace mentions, dying the millions of deaths before they grieve you. That if our identity is attached and anchored in this, Stolzoff invokes the image of being a well-rounded individual rather than placing all of the existential eggs in one basket. We need to engage and identify in other roles we hold in society. It reminds me of this quote by the Dalai Lama, and of course online quotes are sometimes a scary or made-up thing, but this particular arrangement of words I always find to be so meaningful. The planet does not need more successful people. The planet desperately needs more peacemakers, healers, restorers, storytellers, and lovers of all kinds. In the grief meditation that we did earlier, and as we felt more incomplete as things were taken from us, reminding us the importance of those other aspects of ourselves. Part of living a worshipful way is living in an intentional, conscious decision of what you worship, the thing that you had left being the most important. I invite you, like David Wallace invites, be it a spiritual thing, be it a thing that goes beyond the physical, because each of us are bigger and more important than any singular thing we do. You are more than a job. You're more than a parent. You're more than a spouse. You're more than a neighbor. Each of us are complex, and you are more. You are bigger than what role that you currently serve in the lives of others. And so lean into that. Take it in, breathe it in deeply, and hold fast to yourself. And don't lose it in the pursuit of other things. Thank you.
The work of the church depends on us, our generosity of time, wisdom, and financial resources. We invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please rise as you're willing and able for our closing hymn, number 1008, in the teal hymnal, When Your Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in
closing, I invite you to draw to mind once more those 4 things. This week, I invite you to strengthen those connections in any way you are able. Go in peace.